At this moment, Yoda turned, and Dooku gasped, whether it was the play of the holomonitors beaming their views of bleak space and distant battles, or some other trick of the light. Yoda's face was deeply hidden in the shadows, and for one terrible instant, he looked exactly like Darth Sidious. Or rather, it was Yoda as he might have been, or could yet become. A Yoda gone rotten. A Yoda whose awesome powers had been utterly unleashed by his connection to the dark side. In a flash, Dooku saw how foolish he had been, trying to urge the old master to the dark side of the Force. If Yoda ever turned that way, Sidious himself would be annihilated. The universe had yet to comprehend the kind of evil that a Jedi Knight of nearly 900 years could wield. This passage comes from the Star Wars Legends novel Yoda, Dark Rendezvous, where, for only a moment to prove a point, the Grand Master of the Jedi Order embraces the dark side of the Force to illustrate just how deadly the repercussions would be if Yoda ever used and fully allowed the dark side of the Force to corrupt him. A lesson for his former Padawan Dooku. Dooku had previously been urging Yoda to use the power of the dark side. The truth being that Yoda had never really been tempted by the dark side before, never wanted to taste the power, never desired to even touch into the dark. In this moment though, Yoda allows the dark powers to seep in, and to use the dark side of the Force, perhaps for the first time in his long life, realizing to himself that he may actually be more naturally gifted in the dark side than he was in the light. As Dooku puts it, using the knowledge and abilities developed by 900 years of training as a Jedi would be devastating for use in the dark side. Dooku clearly states here that the power of Yoda gone rotten would eclipse that of even Darth Sidious, the most powerful non-entity Star Wars character of his time, with the only rivals of the Force between Yoda and Sidious being Anakin Skywalker if he reached his full potential as the Chosen One, as well as Luke Skywalker in the decades following. It is amazing though, and terrifying, that Yoda is stated here to be more powerful in the dark side than even Sidious, again according to Dooku. In Legends as well as canon, Sidious is stated as the true culmination of an entire era of the Sith rule of two. Sidious is a result of hundreds of years of dark side training, and knowledge passed down from master to apprentice. Sidious is the alpha and omega of all of the rule of two Sith, and cannot be stopped by any mere Jedi. The fact that Yoda's inherent power could eclipse even this power of the Sith is amazing and unheard of, giving us a glimpse of the true power of a dark side Yoda. The great thing about Yoda is he was never really tempted by power in the first place, and truly only used the Force for the betterment of others and the protection of the innocent. This is why out of all of the Jedi, the dark side never really appealed to Yoda at all, which is why the light side of the Force saw fit to grant Yoda such power. He never desired it in the first place, and therefore was worthy to wield it to its greatest magnitude. And it is because of this that until this moment, he likely never realized just how powerful in the Force with the dark side he truly was, always relying on the light completely and utterly. The great and most telling thing about this passage is instead of Dooku being proud that he was able to drive Yoda to the dark, if even for a moment, his reaction was fear and terror of the potential of a Yoda more powerful than Sidious. Dooku doesn't even have a moment to collect himself before the great power of Yoda overwhelms him, and he begins to tremble in fear, not only for his sake, but for the sake of the entire galaxy. But this was simply a brief explanation of a dark side Yoda, and his power, being described as more powerful than Darth Sidious. As I said on my Twitter page, in Star Wars Legends, I believe concerning characters that are not Force entities like Abeloth and the Force Priestesses, a dark side Yoda's potential-wise in the Force would be outpowered only by the Chosen One himself, as well as his son, reaching their full potential in the Force, that is. Essentially, if Yoda ever turned to the dark side, he would be just below Anakin reaching his full potential, and never being defeated and maimed by Obi-Wan on Mustafar. The concept behind a dark side Yoda has always been intriguing to me. The idea that this pure avatar of the light side of the Force, going dark. but the answer of the idea being that Yoda has never entertained the idea of turning to the dark side at all. I also do like the idea in Star Wars that although a character may be given a choice which side of the Force they desire to follow, some have a natural affinity with either the light or the dark side, such as a character like Maul being born with Sith eyes, or a character like Anakin Skywalker always feeling a subtle pull to the dark side. The idea that characters actually inherently are more pulled to one aspect of the Force than the other. And based on this passage, it seems as if Yoda may actually hold a natural affinity with the dark side, even if he never realized it. This also goes along with what George Lucas has said about the different aspects of the Force, that the dark side is the pathway to power, and that in life, if you want to place the acquisition of power above any other goal, that the dark side of the Force is the path that you must follow, as essentially to follow the dark side is the worship of power itself, with the light side offering more enlightenment and the ability to transcend death. The straight up more naturally powerful and chaotic side of the Force, though, is the dark side. Taking this a step further, it is extremely impressive that Yoda is able to contend with the master of the dark side of the Force like Sidious in Revenge of the Sith. And it is impressive that he holds his own and even is considered to be the superior duelist over Sidious, again as a pure light side wielder. So if you take this into account and then realize that Yoda is not even using the more chaotic and naturally powerful side of the Force, it begins to make sense why a dark side Yoda would eclipse the power of even Sidious. Again though, this all inherently goes against the character of Yoda in the first place, and this would never happen in Star Wars. It is simply a hypothetical. Yoda only briefly turned over to the dark side of the Force in Dark Rendezvous to prove a point to Dooku, to show just how destructive the dark side of the Force would be if Yoda ever turned that way. A message received very clearly by Dooku. Again, this all inherently goes against the character of Yoda in the first place and would never happen. It is still fun though to hypothesize about the massive power that Yoda could wield if he ever wanted to, and what makes Yoda such an awesome character, that he never even thinks about it or the power in the first place, and is firmly cemented in the light side of the Force, so much so that again in Revenge of the Sith he's described as the pure avatar of the light side. Nonetheless, even in Legends, Sidious is described as the most powerful Sith Lord that has ever lived, and the idea that if Yoda ever turned to the dark side of the Force, he would instantly eclipse that power and become number one is insane. A dark side Yoda would absolutely be tier 1 power-wise in the Star Wars universe, with the only individuals being able to compete with this character being the Chosen One Anakin, Luke, and potentially Leia, and then Force entities. Entities like Abeloth, the Force Priestesses, and the ones of Mortis. The repercussions of a Yoda gone rotten would be absolutely astronomical. But what would you think if Yoda did actually turn to the dark side of the Force, and did actually desire power above anything else? What do you think the Star Wars universe would look like if at this moment Yoda actually stayed within the dark side and switched his allegiances to the way of the Sith? Do you believe that Dooku's observation here is actually accurate, and that a dark side Yoda would be able to overcome the power of even Sidious? Please leave all of your insights in the comments below, as I love reading them. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would urge you to give the channel a chance, as we explore the Star Wars universe in depth, from news to breakdown videos. As always, my friends, your viewership and support means the absolute world to me. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.